Hello and welcome to another Geek Jabber video. I am Tim and we're back again with the 486. And I've got something a little bit special today, or at least I think it's a little bit special. So you'll see here that I've got Norton Utilities up showing this bit of system information. And I'm going to get my pointing stick, and this is the important bit that I want you guys to see, the main processor. So that's a 486SX33. As you probably guessed, we're going to be upgrading it. So I've got here 486DX40 by AMD. So I'm going to put that back down before I drop it. That is a very uncommon chip. You don't actually see many of those about, but I want to upgrade it. It should give us about a 20% performance improvement because it's 7 megahertz faster. And for those that know their 486s, it's a DX chip as well, which means that it's got the onboard floating point. So the SX chips would typically have that disabled. So that means for things like spreadsheets and CAD work that use floating point, we should see a major performance boost. So what we'll do here, we'll take a cut, I'll power this machine down, and we'll start on the process of getting the new CPU in there. One moment, please. And welcome back. And as you can see, I've got this machine on its side. So this is the CPU, so the one that's currently in there. And thankfully, it's what's known as zero insertion point, or zero insertion force rather. So you can't really see it through my hand, but there's a little lever that we can use to unlock it. Take the old CPU out, and we're now going to try and put the new one in. So that should get the new CPU in there. That was very clunky doing it with my hands in the way there. And right on cue it starts raining. So if you start hearing weird sounds, yes, it is rain. So there's stage one of the CPU upgrade done. I'm going to take another cut here because what we're about to do is going to be a little bit tricky with the camera. But we also now need to set a few jumpers. So I've found the motherboard manual for this particular board. So these old boards do not come with auto detection. You basically have to use jumpers to set the CPU speed. So I'm not doing that through a camera lens. No, you cannot make me. But I'm going to jump in now, find the jumpers. I need to set it for 40 megahertz. And I also need to set it for a 486DX CPU, so it actually uses the floating point unit. So I'll take another cut here, get this done, and we'll come back and see if we're successful. One moment, please. And welcome back. I've had some success with actually getting this working, a little bit more success than I was expecting, but I've also hit a few hitches off camera. So I've set the jumpers to set this to a 40 megahertz CPU. And I've also had to do a few other things. I will give you a brief overview of the problems that I hit. So this machine is fitted with a VESA local bus video card. And with a 40 megahertz AMD chip, it runs that at 40 megahertz. Which is right on the limit of where that runs reliably. So I've had to do a few tweaks to actually get that working properly. And I'll actually reboot the machine so you actually get to see it. So this has got the AMI BIOS. Award was another common one that should have fairly similar things. So when I set this machine originally up for a 33 megahertz CPU, I've set the cache write wait states and these read and write wait states to 0 milliseconds, and it was working reliably at 33 megahertz. It was actually causing random freezing at 40. So what I've done is I've set the BIOS back to defaults, which has given me these settings, and I've also had to set the local bus ready delay to enabled, which basically means that the bus works a little bit more reliably at that 40 megahertz limit. And just as a side note, this is also why the 486DX50 did not work reliably. But setting those, as well as setting this to 1/2, seems to have got this working a bit more reliably. So it basically inserts wait states to basically slow down the bus a little bit. So if we now reboot and just wait for it to load back to the menu, the joy of having to reboot a 486 every 3 seconds. There is a lot of waiting around waiting for it to boot. So if I go back into Norton Utilities and we go into the system information, and I will grab my pointing stick, we now have a 486DX40 with a MATS coprocessor. So that's the inbuilt floating point unit within the 486DX to give us better floating point maths, as I explained earlier. So this now appears to be working reliably. So I thought I'd put this documentation up just for anyone else that might be wanting to use the same CPU. This might be something you have to have a look at to actually get it working reliably, because it is right on that limit. So make sure if you're doing the same upgrade to a 40 megahertz CPU, and it's sort of specific to the DX280 as well, which also uses a 40 megahertz bus speed, you will need to insert those wait states. So hopefully that's useful to somebody who might be contemplating the same upgrade. But so far, this seems to be working reliably. So I will wrap this video up here. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, links are in the description. There's also the Discord, the website, if you want to join in there. And I will see everyone in the next video.